Hello and welcome to Digital Citizenship.
Digital Citizenship is a show designed to help you learn about the issues of citizens in a digital world.
In our show today, we will be looking at ways to protect yourself and others as you work in cyberspace.
In today's program, we will look at 3 topics: digital security, digital rights and responsibilities, and digital health and wellness. Digital security.
The news today is full of stories of young people who have been victims of predators they have met online.
The problem with cyberspace is that you don't really know for sure who is on the other end of the connection.
You may feel that you are completely safe while someone is getting information about you that can hurt you.
Being secure in cyberspace includes things like firewalls and virus software to protect your computer.
It also includes good habits like never giving out your personal information.
Most importantly, it means keeping your parents or guardians involved in what you're doing.
If you can't do it with them in the room, you shouldn't be doing it at all.
Let's watch as some students learn about protecting themselves in cyberspace.
The internet is a very anonymous place. However, the bad thing about that, it's a wealth of information, and that wealth of information stays around forever. So if you've got a Twitter account, a Facebook, MySpace, anything that you have that's related to you, don't give anything that somebody can attract you from, which would be your name, your social security, your date of birth, what school you go to, where you live at, things like that. Another thing we're finding out here in law enforcement is that a lot of people, they share accounts or information with their friends. And when they talk to their friends and wall things, their friends respond back by giving, hey, I heard something happened over on your street, and actually give the name of the street. So even though you're trying to protect yourself, sometimes our friends put us in danger. So we've got to work with our own friends, our own classmates and everything else and say, hey, we need to keep everybody safe. So let's not talk about specific things. We can talk about general things like, hey, what happened in the county? Hey, what happened in the city? And then that way we stay a whole lot safer. The internet is so anonymous that there's not any way to positively identify who you're with. I'll give you an example. If you logged in as yourself and you stepped away, your friend who's in the same room with you could log back into your account because you left it open on the computer. Text anything that she would want to, and who did it come from? You will never know for sure. Some of the clues to look into: if it's one of your close friends, then they're going to know more about you than a stranger would. Another thing to look for is how they communicate. You all talk to each other all day long, so you can usually identify by text words or symbols that somebody might use that is a close friend. If their ideas are too general, they don't know anything about kind of like how kids are doing or acting, more than likely that's a clue it's not going to be a kid. So the biggest thing I try to tell people is don't get wrapped up in the moment. Don't lose your temper. Don't say things that you're going to regret for pretty much the rest of your life, because, what we say in anger can be held against us for the rest of our lives.
Cyberspace can work like another door or window into our homes and lives. To keep people from hurting us, we need good digital security, including firewalls, virus software, and safe practices. Digital rights and responsibilities.
We've been learning about protecting ourselves from other people, but what about when we are the problem?
Right, there are lots of things that we do today that really aren't cool, but when we do them online, they can be disastrous.
We've all heard about cyberbullying and students that have hurt themselves because of what other people have said about them.
The fact is, we shouldn't be saying anything in cyberspace that we wouldn't want someone to say about us.
We have the same rights and responsibilities online as we do offline, but the problem is once it's online, it's forever and it's everywhere.
You may think it's a little private joke between you and your friends, but anybody in the world can see it if they want to.
Let's watch as some students learn about digital rights and responsibilities.
I cannot believe what Abby said about me.
Why? What'd she write?
She said I wanted to go out with Will. That is so not true.
Maybe you should ask her about it. Here she comes now.
Hey guys. Why'd you say that stuff about me and Will? You know it's not true.
I thought you liked him.
No. Besides, who gave you the right to say stuff about me?
Hey, it's a free country. I can say whatever I want.
That doesn't mean you can say stuff about people that isn't true.
Yeah, And what you said is so not true.
It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it.
Don't you realize that whatever you say in cyberspace is out there forever? Anybody can see it.
Don't get so excited. It's not like I shot anybody.
Actually, you did. You assassinated me.
Okay, now you're just being over dramatic.
No, really, it's called character assassination. It's when you say stuff about other people, it can destroy their reputation.
Yeah, and sometimes it makes people so upset that they end up hurting themselves.
You're not that upset, are you?
No, I'm not going to let anything somebody else says about me make me want to do something stupid.
But you never know. If it was someone else, they might not be so strong. You could push them over the edge by saying things about them.
That's right. You have the freedom of speech, but you also have to take responsibility for what you say.
I'm sorry, I was just goofing around. I didn't think anybody would actually take it seriously.
Well, the kids at school are going to have a great time making fun of me tomorrow. And it's not fair to Will.
Yeah, he's going to be really confused.
Sometimes students will say things that are silly or harmless on social media, such as Facebook and texting, but at other times they hide behind that social media and say things that are hurtful. If they say things that are hurtful and it's ongoing or threatening, this could be considered cyberbullying. Our government has passed a bill where cyberbullying is against the law and some serious charges can be made. If it was something that I thought was mild enough, I would contact the person's parents and make them aware of what's going on. But if it's been a continuous, ongoing thing, or there have been threats that have been made, we can call the state police and file a report. I also encourage parents to use the court-designated worker and file a complaint. They can end up in front of the judge in the court system, and there are some pretty severe consequences that can be handed out. If you can't say it in front of your parents, then you shouldn't say it on Facebook or any kind of online technology.
What I encourage everybody to do is, again, think about what they write on the internet. You know, you got to remember, the written word is going to be out there forever. Whatever you put out on the internet is the written word. If you're writing something that torments, that threatens, that harasses, humiliates, embarrasses, or specifically targets one particular person, then you're guilty of cyberbullying. And if you're guilty of cyberbullying, according to all the laws, you can be prosecuted for that. I know it's really, really hard, but the first thing that you need to do is stop and think about what is happening to you. Don't respond to the communication. Don't delete the information, but you need to pass it on to somebody that is an adult authority. It can be a family member. There again, it could be another adult that might have experienced the same thing. It could be some of your school resource counselors. The cyberbullying law is designed to help you in the school environment with your fellow classmates. And if you can't get any success there, remember, it is a crime, so if you report it to the law enforcement personnel, we'll investigate it, try to find out who and where it's coming from, and if it merits the need to, then we can turn it over to the attorney's office, and then hopefully they'll have criminal prosecution for it.
Digital citizens have rights and responsibilities that are similar to those in the Bill of Rights, including things like free speech. But that doesn't mean we can say things that are hurtful, untrue, or slanderous opinions about people or organizations. As digital citizens, we must do things that will protect the rights of others as well as our own. Digital health and wellness.
Have you ever stayed up all night playing video games?
I know people that never get up before 1 or 2 in the afternoons on weekends because they stayed up playing games all night.
Some of the things we do with digital media just isn't healthy.
Computers and cell phones are tools that can be used, but they can also be abused.
Doctors are beginning to learn about many health problems that come from improper use of digital technology.
Later on, you may find out that you have to use computers in your job, and the bad habits you start now may hurt you then.
Eye problems, back problems, hand and wrist problems can all come from working with computers.
Not to mention the fact that a lot of us need to get out in the sunshine and get more exercise.
Digital life just isn't the same as real life.
Let's watch as some students learn about digital health and wellness.
We commonly see injuries of the wrist and fingers in our clinic, typically of the ligaments and tendons, and frequently that is due to lack of activity and exercise. People become deconditioned. Improper ergonomics is another factor. What we try to do is encourage more activity and exercises so that people can become more fit and be able to use those devices in their spare time. But it's very important to pay attention to your posture while you're in a sitting position or any position you're in, because your posture is the foundation that you work from. And we see more problems in the extremities when people don't pay attention and use proper posture when they are sitting for prolonged periods. I also encourage young people to get up and stretch and move and take frequent breaks. Anyone actually should be doing that who use digital devices for prolonged periods of time. More people are going to be in the virtual world because it's here. What we can't neglect is taking care of our physical bodies. And how we need to do that is we need to spend a significant amount of time making sure that we are getting the physical exercise that we need. And things like eye strain, there's actually a study out that shows that when you look at a screen for prolonged periods of time, you don't blink the way you normally should, and so that causes problems with dry eye. When you're not using other muscles, you're getting weak, and which leads to other types of problems with strains and sprains because your muscles aren't adequately strengthened. Studies are suggesting that the childhood obesity problem is only increasing, in that we're close to 1 in 5 children becoming obese, and possibly related to the fact that there is so much digital use and there is so much less physical activity as a result of that. With using a handheld device, it may seem more comfortable to people. However, I notice very abnormal postures in people when they're using these devices, and they also are using their thumbs a lot to use the device, whereas a possible overuse syndrome for their thumb, as well as sometimes they're slouched back, sometimes they're hunched over, sometimes they're looking for such prolonged periods at their device that creates habitual patterns and abnormalities in the skeletal system that can possibly cause long-term deleterious effects.
Mr. Kauser, I've got this friend that he doesn't hang out with us anymore. His grades are dropping, and he's staying secluded in his house playing video games all the time. And I really want to know what's going on and what to do if I can help.
You're doing some of the right things already by talking about it with somebody else, an adult, or you've come to a professional, and then talking about his parents or whoever he's living with. It can be real important, if you've got several friends that go together, to talk with them and say, we're worried and we want to hang out differently, or what's going on, how can we help you? Somebody can feel better sometimes if there's more people that care about them there. Maybe seeming like he's not quite in the same school with you anymore, sort of walking around, sort of having playing games that in his head maybe when he's not even playing, and talking about characters from games while he's with you, with people. Some of those things might push to make sure to get to somebody, school counselor, or and maybe they could help you contact his parents and get people together. Sometimes if there's been a big stress in somebody's life, a change at home, where they've been sick for a while, some kind of medical illness, they can feel like it's easier to not have to talk about it and start entertaining themselves by themselves, either through the computer and games. We use digital media, games, and texting. We tend to do that more than we talk anymore. And it doesn't always mean there's something wrong with folks. It's really a different way that we communicate, but it loses something. And when we're sad or our feelings are needing to get addressed, it's a real difficult thing to do that in email or things like that. And so if he does need to talk about things or he's upset, the sad thing can be that it can make it worse.
There are many potential health and mental problems that are associated with overuse or inappropriate use of cyberspace. Digital citizens need to maintain a healthy balance of life in and out of cyberspace.
Well, as you can see, there's more to being a digital citizen than learning how to click a mouse or pound a keyboard.
Right, so what kind of citizen are you in the digital world?
Well, that's all for this time. Join us again for
Digital Citizenship.
Let's review.
Digital security. Cyberspace can work like another door or window into our homes and lives. To keep people from hurting us, we need good digital security, including firewalls, virus software, and safe practices. Digital rights and responsibilities. Digital citizens have rights and responsibilities that are similar to those in the Bill of Rights, including things like free speech. But that doesn't mean we can say things that are hurtful, untrue, or slanderous opinions about people or organizations.
As digital citizens, we must do things that will protect the rights of others as well as our own. Digital health and wellness. There are many potential health and mental problems that are associated with overuse or inappropriate use of cyberspace. Digital citizens need to maintain a healthy balance of life in and out of cyberspace.